We're still waiting on the arrival of Alderman Taylor. He's called and said he's just 5 minutes away. But to be respectful of your time, I guess we'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. We're now in order, the city board meeting for March 12, 2024. First thing on our agenda is always you have the invocation and pledge. Alderman, would you please give us an invocation?
May we bow? Heavenly Father, we thank you, dear God, for this meeting on today. We thank you for everything that you have blessed us with, dear God. We thank you for the beautiful day that you blessed us with. Dear God, we ask you to touch our minds and touch our hearts, that we will make the right decisions for the city of Brownsville and for our citizens, dear God. We pray these many blessings in your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. May we stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, we're working in daylight saving time, so of course, we're gonna get you out of here before it gets dark, all right? First thing on our agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting from February 13th. I wasn't in attendance at that meeting, but Mr. Flagg, our vice mayor, did conduct that meeting. Are there any questions, concerns about the minutes from all? Hearing none, I'd like to ask for approval. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly motion. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay. Minutes approved. Next on our agenda for business tonight, we have ordinance, we have 3 ordinances on our agenda for tonight, items number 4, 5, and 6. They pertain to planning. All of these ordinances have been properly vetted through the planning commission. So the first one we have is ordinance number 1014. All ordinances have 2 readings, which means that we are upon the first reading, if it's approved by the city council, we then move to a second reading, which at that time we'll open up a public hearing from the community in our next board meeting, pending approval for the second reading. So all ordinances have 2 readings, resolutions have 1. So tonight we'll be addressing ordinances on our agenda. Ordinance number 1014, Mr. Shelton Merrill. But first of all, I want to welcome Shelton Merrill. This is our full-time city planner now. We've been needing a city planner. He's been working in a part-time capacity. You are very familiar with his work and his expertise, but we do some convincing, some praying, and now he's full-time with us officially. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank y'all so much.
All right. So, Mr. Melton, maybe just come to the podium and give us just, you might as well just park it there for a minute because you got 14, 15 to 16. Just a brief description of ordinance number 1014, please, sir.
Yes, sir, Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the council and to the citizens of the community. Basically, all this is ordinance 1014 is basically, I'm gonna keep it simple. This is the creation of a new mixed-use district for the city of Brownsville. Our current zoning ordinance does not have any provisions of this nature, and basically, all this is a very complex thing, but I'm gonna try to make it as simple as I possibly can. This mixed-use district will basically be relative to the mixing of uses such as certain residential uses along with certain commercial uses. The residential uses that will be allowed in this particular district are single-family detached dwellings, 2-family dwellings, which are duplexes, apartments, as well as townhouses. Now, there's a different sort of institutional uses. Those are basically relative to schools and public safety and things of that nature, public utilities, communications. We're not going to go through each particular line item and use any district provisions at this particular time because of time's sake, and you don't want to hear me preach all night long on this thing. But basically, we took out we kind of borrowed these regulations from Collierville, but we made them for Brownsville specific, and we took out a lot of what could be considered to be detrimental commercial uses. We struck those from the record. We took those out, and we're not going to go into the detail about what all those were at this particular time. But what we have here is basically a mixture of districts, which will be primarily residential and commercial uses. We don't have this particular district on our books, and we think that this is a good starting point, to get something on the books. We're gonna be in the process of amending this thing as we go along, but especially when it comes to the setback requirements, because this amount of specificity in that regard, it might differ between the residential and the commercial. So we might come back at some point and kind of shore those up somewhat. But just to get us going, after a long debate in the planning commission meeting and 2 meetings, this is the final result that they have recommended to you, council.
Okay. Yes, sir. Questions from Alderman?
Yes, Mr. Merrill,
Yes, sir.
thank you for being here. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you for having me.
We
I
obviously
said that,
recognize we had a need for a city planner with potential growth going, and we certainly appreciate your knowledge and experience, and I know you'll lead us in the right direction. So 30 feet, I think, was 30 feet was setback?
I think we had 30 feet out in the front, and I think, yes, sir, those were the setbacks. Well, no, 40 feet if you were on the arterial Status Street, which is a highway, and 30 feet on the regular local street.
And then 10 feet to the side.
10 feet on the side and 30 in the rear. Yes,
And
sir.
so we think possibly on commercial property,
On-
that could change.
On the residential end, those might change, and even on the commercial,
Yeah.
those might change. So we might shore those up at some point very quickly. But this is just getting us going, just to get us started. Yes, sir.
So my second question is, so the old ordinance is on the books now. I'm assuming this ordinance will supersede any old ordinance that might cover some of these same topics? Or we don't have anything out there to cover mixed use?
No, we don't have anything right now, Alderman Bishop, that's germane or relative to mixed-use development. So all our other residential districts and commercial districts, they're all gonna remain the same.
Okay.
This is just an opportunity to provide for certain developments, the opportunity to develop under the mixed-use guidelines. So this would incorporate those commercial uses and institutional uses that you see there, as well as the residential that's been there.
And we will go back in
Oh, we
and
will.
look at what we currently have on the books for just the residential and make sure all those ordinances are right as well too, but that'll come at a later date.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. We're in the process now of basically going through all the ordinances that are being prepared, getting those, implemented into the zoning ordinance, and just doing a comparison, just basically doing an analysis of where we are today and what we adopted, and at some point, when I have to come back with a recommendation to the planning commission and to you all, the council, and basically either updating the zoning ordinance or starting a new and getting a new one. And that's gonna be a lot of work, and we're gonna have to probably do that somewhat anyway, not necessarily a new ordinance, but if we adopt the, Haywood County next plan, if we adopt it at the city level, we will have to probably, update and concoct or prepare a new zoning.
We paid a lot of money for it. I
Yes,
hope
you
we
did.
adopt it or get it changed
Yes, sir.
to something we can adopt. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions from Alderman? Alderman.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 1014.
Okay, I hear a motion, I hear a second.
I'll second.
Been moved and properly second. Are there any questions, concerns, before we call for the vote? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ordinance 1014 passes the first reading. Ordinance number 1015, this is along the same vein, this is a planned residential development. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, Mayor. Basically, we already have planned residential development, district provisions. All we're doing, under the council of LRK, Mr. Jonathan Plant, AICP, we were able to augment or make better, the existing provisions or strengthen them. One particular instance where we did that, where currently we require 5 acres for a PRD. We truncated or reduced that amount of acreage down to 3. We have, we make reference to the future land use plan. Everything in the bold and black those are the proposed, new, requirements that we added. We have a new, segment that was entitled Inactive Plan Development, and this gives the procedure for those, plan developments that go into a period of inactivity. They got up to a year. We specify certain things that they have to do to, under that guise when they become inactive. We specify all of that. I'm just saving us for time, so I'm not gonna read to you. We also, add new provisions in regards in defining usable open space. We're doing away with the days of you just wanna say, well, this is the floodplain here, we keep this open and, that's it. No, we define it. If you have up to 3 to 5 acres, it's gotta be 20% of usable open space. 5 to 8 acres, you got to have 30%. Greater than 8, 40. And then we talk about all the criteria that must be associated with the open space. And so we're not gonna go into that amount of detail tonight, but as you can see, it's just not gonna be, there on the floodplain, there's open space along with all the other lots. We're doing away with that. So this calls for pedestrian trails as well as, bicycle trails. We got all kinds of things added into this, these PRD requirements. We talk about parking, bicycle parking, car parking. All right, moving right along, because this is a 17-page document. We talk about pedestrian and bicycle movement. We talk about the different requirements for those, vehicle movement and standards, different requirements for that. And also there's a new, thing where we say that there's a pattern book of design guidelines. The developer has come in and presented to the planning commission and you all, the council, proposed design for the building elevations and stuff like that. How the building is gonna look and how it's going to mesh with the existing or surrounding, development around that. We have a comprehensive sign policy. We talk about environmental and conservation, getting LEED design certification and all that. We've added provisions for privacy. And then we call for a 30-day review period where we just don't come in 15 days and slam this on top of us and then we got to go to work trying to figure it out anymore. We got a 30-day initiation process associated with the PRD development. And that helps get things that certain deficiencies that the building staff and the planning staff might catch. We can get that in engineering staff. We can get back to the developer and say we found these things in a timely enough fashion where they still have enough time to submit to the planning commission and get those things worked out prior to the meeting. So that's why we're going to the 30-day process. We even talk about a traffic impact analysis that may be required at our discretion if it develops. The drawing, the details, gotta have building elevation, so forth and so on. You see all that amount of specificity there. And with that, I hear the church organ playing, and I'm tuning up now, and so y'all can ask me the questions, because I think y'all tired of my sermon.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the Alderman or Mr. Mayor?
Hey, I'd love to see this, after our vote tonight, love to see this posted. Will it be posted on our website? So if we got 30 days for the community to see it, I think it's really important, because, you know, 5 of us, with a lot of guidance is good, but, you know, almost 10,000 people would be better, if we had comments. So I think it'd be important, you know, that we get it posted out there where people can look at it.
Okay. We'll say all these did receive a favorable recommendation. Mr. Mayor?
Chuck, you said 30 days prior to the planning commission.
That's correct.
On page 16, paragraph 3, it says 60 days.
Well, we said 60 days.
On the preliminary development plan.
That's right, it's gone from 30 days to 60 days, excuse me. I'm
Okay.
sorry about that. Sorry about that, I got that wrong.
Okay. I just want to make sure we.
Yeah, it's a shelter, I'm trying to get Southwest out of my system. Don't put that in there.
And just one other question. You talked about lead certain protections really quick.
Yes.
Could you
Could you summarize that for me? I mean,
But-
we're not gonna require everybody to be lead, like,
But
bronze or platinum.
basically, Mr. Jonathan Flint suggested this, and, basically, on number 9 on page 12, all it says, the plan development shall provide environmental enhancements, such as leadership in energy and environmental design certification from the U.S. Green Building Council to promote sustainable building design and construction, including but not limited to sustainable neighborhood development, sustainable site development, green roofs, water savings and energy efficiency, material selection, and indoor environment.
So we don't specify what level of lead certification
No,
they need to get.
no, we
Because,
don't.
I mean, as you know, I mean, if you go lead platinum or whatever, that can be almost undoable. I mean, you know, and to have that requirement would be probably not feasible for most of the developers coming in. Okay, thank you.
And I will say that all these, ordinances did receive a favorable recommendation from the planning commission. And they will be on our agenda. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1015 on the first reading. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any questions, concerns from all? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. 1015 passes its first reading. Ordinance number 1016, this is a zoning request, on the property, and then did make the corrections, from our work session. So it's the ordinance to amend the city of Brownsville municipal zoning, rezoning map on property located on Fulton Road, State Route 54, from, R1, to, and eventually ends up, in
It's
Grand
not-
Rapids.
It's proposed to be rezoned to PRD, planned residential and mixed use.
Okay.
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve ordinance 1016.
I hear a motion, do I hear a second?
A second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Any questions, concerns from all? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Okay, 1016 passes the first reading. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank y'all very much for the
Well,
opportunity.
yes, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
We're glad you're here. We need you.
Glad to be here.
All right, next, we have something fun to talk about. Dr. Lasima Gray has come up from Memphis, Tennessee, and who I didn't realize that he did student teaching at college. I went to introduce him to Ms. Flagg, and she said, "What are you doing here?" So, you can't get nothing past the vice mayor. So, Dr. Gray, we're gonna talk about this presentation and the proposal we have coming forward. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Mayor, may I give you these and
Yes,
you
sir.
pass them at your discretion?
Yes, sir.
It's good to be here. It is true that 60 years ago, I was doing my student teaching, and Mrs. Flagg was the school secretary. And we had to sign in with her and make sure we covered all the assignments given to us as student teachers. I'm honored to bring you this presentation on behalf of our mayor, Mayor William Rawls. I was doing some research on my way up. I'm trying to make sure no one beats us in establishing a statue of Ida B. Wells. St. Louis is working on one now, but I don't think they have it yet, Dr. John, erected. And I want to make sure that Brownsville is the first city in the world to erect a statue of Ida B. Wells. Now, the project is to erect a bronze statue of this iconic individual that will stand 6 feet and 6 inches tall. And everyone has admonished me, as we talked about this project, don't mess up her legs.
Well, Dr. Gray, we have to get it right then.
That's right.
Because I think we're talking about Miss Tina Turner.
We're talking about
Tina Turner.
the Queen.
Right.
We're talking about the Queen.
Okay.
And it's interesting, everyone I mentioned that to, they said it's time to do it, but don't mess up her legs. So the iconic Tina Turner will be honored with your approval tonight in this setting. No better setting would I know. And so now, how did I get to meet the mayor on this project? My good friend, Dr. John Ashworth, has been working with me with projects in the Memphis area. And if I may share this parenthetically, he ran for mayor once. And I came and supported him in that effort because I was convinced then he was a noble individual to lead us. But I have fallen in love with Brownsville, and nothing has been more ingratiating for me than the research we've had to do on Miss Tina Turner. So we went out and found the best artists to do this work. It happened that the company in Memphis, East Tennessee, you will see, they have retired. The hands have gotten where she can't do it anymore, and it's painful to do this work, and so she has retired, but she has agreed to supervise the final stage of the statue, which is the casting. And so they are working with the artist out of Atlanta. That's Mr. Fred Janagar. You will see his resume here, and you can go on his website and see some of the work that he has already done. His work is posted in the Atlanta airport and throughout the landscape of Atlanta, Georgia. Once I received the full vision for this project from Mayor Rawls, I then recommended Mr. John Jackson, who is the landscape architect who has more than 33 years in this area of experience, and he has sprinkled his projects all over the country. The most recent ones being in Memphis, Tennessee, the I Have a Dream Plaza and the Martin Luther King Reflection Park. And he is now in the process of redoing the Ida B. Wells Plaza in Memphis, Tennessee. And so that expertise will come as part of this project. And I have a proposed timeline on the next page, April 1 through July 30th. The creative work of the sculpture will be done in Atlanta, Georgia with Mr. Fred. August 1, 24 through November 24, we will go to Atlanta and bring back the artwork that Mr. Fred has done, and it will be cast in bronze in East Tennessee. Now, before the work is completed in Atlanta, a committee from Brownsville will be asked to go down, to look at the work, and to sign off on the work. The same will happen in East Tennessee. Before they will cast the final product, a committee will be asked to go to East Tennessee and look at the work and give you a sign off on that work, and then we will come back to install it in the Heritage Park here in Brownsville, Tennessee. Groundbreaking ceremonies is something to be arranged, but I talked about that with the mayor, maybe when the International Fan Club comes in July. I had thought about the Memorial Day of her death, but that will be decided by the mayor committee. Now I have a listing of impacting quotes of Tina Turner. Now these can be put on bronze plaques and strategically placed around the park and around the statue of the words that she has spoken. And look at these, and then you may, Ms. Flagg, you may have some words that we haven't listed here. With your long-standing relationship with her. And sometimes off the record is even better. So if you have some of those, we can, none of this is in the country. So you may have some better quotes that we can use. But what I liked was the idea that what kept her going was that she believed in something on the inside of her. Something inside of her kept her believing that she could go on and she could make it. And when you think about all that she went through, it's a miraculous thing that she turned out the way that she did. Now, the next page lists the phases of the project. The legislative approval, the appointment of committees, setting of the budget, contracting with the artists, the foundry owners, and the landscape architect. Now, I don't have any information on the landscape architect. Mayor Rawls will negotiate and settle that. But on the artists and the foundry owners, it's a supply and demand flow at this point. And they're asking, the sooner we can get them started, the better off they will be in terms of finishing the product and getting the necessary supplies. The founder's big problem is the bronze. When that gets in short supply, prices can go through the roof. Now, again, the approval in Atlanta, and then the casting in Eads, and the approval in Eads, and then the coming for the installation, and we're talking about, unless the mayor wants to change that date, installing this on her birthday in 2025. All right? Now here's some projected cost. And making of the model in Atlanta, that's Mr. Fred's work, $39,000. And casting of the bronze statue is $62,000. And he gives us two options. The bronze base, which would be 4 feet in diameter and 4 inches thick, that would be an additional $6,500. And then a microphone and a stand would be an additional $5,500. If the options are taken, that would make the project a total of $113,000. On the back, I had some suggested activities as we build up the interest of the community and that the community buys into this project. A memorial service on May 24th, which is the date of her death. A look-alike contest, talent and beauty contest, where youngsters and even middle-aged people get a chance to say, I can do what Tina do, and have fun doing it. And again, ingratiating people to this personality. Lectures and workshops on the life and legacy of Tina, I think, have tremendous potential to really tell the story of Tina Turner. I know she's worked with battered women, abused women in areas of the country, but to have someone do an academic lecture on the life and the legacy of Tina Turner. A young girl leaves Brownsville, ends up in St. Louis. And St. Louis was a rough city in those days. It was rough when I was there. And by the way, Ms. Black, that's why I taught school when I left here. I went to St. Louis, and I taught school in the Pruitt-Igoe section, which was the home of Micah and Leon Spinks. And these were some bad young men. But that was a tough neighborhood. In fact, it was so bad that the Department of Housing and Urban Development dynamited it. And they blew it away. They took it down at the end of my tenure in St. Louis. They said it was ill-developed and not proper for what the number of people they put in that place. But the legacy of Tina can be ingratiated and embraced by people with some of these activities. An essay contest for high school students to write about Tina. You get beyond the facade of an entertainer. This is a real woman. Not lady, but a lady and woman, but a woman who could stand the pressure of what she had to go through and come out shining like a star. And so these activities, and these are not limited activities. You may come up with some activities that we can do, but I certainly think these are some that will get us started. Now, some of you may not know, who are you? Well, I'm the summer grade. After I taught school in St. Louis, Lane called me back to work at Lane College, and I worked in development. I see development officer sitting here. And I was trained by the Phelps Stokes Fund of New York City and the Morton Foundation out of Virginia. And what they had decided to do was to train some of the alumni of the historical black colleges that instead of constantly getting money from foundations, what have you, that we would go out and build up bases and we would raise money for the institution. It was sort of like you're learning to paddle your own boat. And across the country, there were groups of us at every HBCU that I know of. We were trained to be development officers. I define development officer as someone who's building a mutually beneficial relationship for parties that want to work together. And so that's what I've done for the last 60 years. And so I stand before you to answer any questions about this project. But I certainly would hope that you would find favor of this project because of the tremendous potential it has for tourism and to inspire the young people of this area. If Tina Turner can make it, that's what she said, anybody can make it. So, Mr. Mayor, that's my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Gray. One thing we did talk about, as we were talking about dates for the unveiling, talk to Sonia, because she's our tourism person.
Okay.
That we do the unveiling in September of 2025, during the Delta, the Heritage Days, right? Yeah, so that, yeah, because what that would do is coincide with the international visitors, like we talked about, in September 2025. So also what we're gonna do in the process, we're gonna ask the city council make a deposit, make a commitment to do the deposit, for the artists and for the, casting company, so we can get things rolling. Also, what we're gonna do is, everything's including transportation. There's a couple things are not included. These are hard numbers, but there's some soft costs involved. The foundation that actually the statue was set on, the hoisting to get it put in place. Also, we might have to invest a little money into fundraising. The Friends of the Delta Heritage Center has a contract in place with the city to be the fundraising arm, where people can donate to a nonprofit agency. And her fan base is also connected with the Delta Heritage Center. So, I'm looking at estimated total cost of about $150,000, a hard cost of $113, not to include the foundation itself. And then we'll look at phase two. Phase two is, as Dr. Gray mentioned, will be to develop the entire park around it. What we do in that case, we'll put out a request for qualification, and then we can, do a score sheet and then decide that there's phase two. But this is phase one, and we wanna place this in the Heritage Park across from Carver School, where she went to school. So what we have is, we have the Flag Grove School at the interstate, where people will get off and our fans will gather. But then they'll have opportunity to come into town and pay tribute at the statue in a low traffic volume area. We might have to make some additional parking spaces as we develop the park, and then have an opportunity to go across the street and see the actual floor where she played basketball. Visit the Carver Museum, with some of the memorabilia there, not to compete with Flag Grove School, but to complement as we tell our civil rights story. So, I think this is an awesome investment into the community, and I don't think it'd be a problem for us raising the money over the next, 12 plus months. All right, are there any questions from the audience?
Hey, Mayor, just one question,
Yeah.
and this may be for council. So we talked about RFQ for other issues. I just want, and I'm a huge supporter of Tina Turner. I love her, man. I used to skip school to listen to her music sometimes. So, she's special. She's special to Brownsville, and I think can make a huge impact. Continue to, even after her death, even probably more so. But, so the purchasing rules on that, can we just agree to pay without, I mean, I don't know if that's been priced, or, you know what I'm saying, if we taking bids on the statue, or how will that be purchased? Will it be a contribution on the city part, will the city own it? How will that, it's public-private partnership.
Correct.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not trying to complicate it, I just wanna make sure we're following the rules.
No, I mean, I was thinking fall under the, professional services, and I can double check with MTS on it, but, if it falls under the professional services exclusion, then you don't have to bid it. But I can verify it.
Yeah, and that was something I did think about, but the prices that we see here, the level of expertise that Dr. Gray's team has brought, we can jump through the hoops, but under the level of professional service, accounting, engineer, this is a very unique and specialized, craft. And I just think it's a good idea. I appreciate your check and balances, but that's why we said for the park itself, we do an RFQ, because it's more construction. It's not as specialized, and we just wanna put in pavers where people can make donations on a smaller amount. And their names will be a part of this for the fan base all over the world. So we have walkways leading up to it, so we'll come back with phase two. Does that answer your question?
Right, yeah, I just wanna follow the purchasing guidelines, when we purchase a statue as well. I think that's important, if we're gonna agree as a body to do that.
Okay. Are there any other questions, concerns from all of you?
So will you make sure,
Yeah, yeah, and if y'all wanna pass it subject to, me verifying that with MTS,
Yeah.
that's fine, I can do
Okay.
that.
All right. So what we wanna do is, we wanna go ahead and make the initial commitment. And also, what I'm asking the city council tonight is to make the initial deposits. $20,000 towards the clay project itself, with, Mr. Fred, $25,000 deposit for the fountain, and do the fundraising rest. So, Should I take the, two different motions, or one motion be fine, Mr. Banks?
You can probably do it one.
That's all, thank you. Just wanna make sure everybody's on the same page. Are there any questions, comments from the Alderman? I hope we're excited about this project.
Is this gonna be the, statute, the set, the image? Or we
That's-
gonna find, is this just your presentation?
That's my, you can fine tune that, you may have a singing at a microphone, or you may have a standing, there are so many ways we can present Tina.
Yes, okay.
That's my presentation,
Okay,
thank you for that.
that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's just to give you an idea what,
Mm-hmm.
it's a conception.
Mr. Mayor, may I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
Once that landscape architect comes in, he's not just working around Tina, he's working that whole heritage park, which will make it an attractive park for this whole area. You will not have seen anything like this in the whole West Tennessee area. And I'm talking about walking trails, and then bronze plaques with the various civil rights heroes and the civic heroes, the elected officials of Brownsville. It just has all kind of potential to really reflect upon the great heritage of Haywood County.
Yes. Because this is inside of a national historic district for civil rights. So it's already on the register, and it just fits. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the project with the deposit in the amount of $45,000. For your motion.
Motion.
Glad that you do. She know you gonna go, so you got the second?
I'll say.
Okay, all right, second. All right, any questions, concerns from the, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Passed unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Gray.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
my good friend John Ashworth was upset because he thought it was gonna be 8 feet tall.
Well, she was a short lady, so when we, with 6'6", it's larger than life is the term that we use.
That's what we want to use.
Larger than life,
But
is our time period.
initially, we did talk about an 8
We
foot.
did talk about 8 feet.
Yeah, but the artist and the foundry advised not to do 8 feet.
Right, and this will be professionally done with protection from the inside. Dr. Gray and his team have done several projects across the country. I'm talking about the National Civil Rights Museum, Tuskegee Airmen. It just, thank you for bringing this team together. We couldn't have done it without you. All right, okay, we still have a little business to take care of tonight. We have the community development report, followed by the financial manager report. Community development. Ms. Crystal Mann.
Are there any questions regarding the community development report?
Oh, you know I can't let that slide. So, we talked about a grant, a working for a grant on Mars Jewelry. What was that? Was that just a facade grant?
Just a facade. Just a facade, they're still having trouble on finding bidders for that. So, but I do have one announcement. Tomorrow at 5:30 at the CJC complex, we will have our homeowner rehabilitation and reconstruction town hall meeting. Mr. Mayor can elaborate more on this grant. If you know of anyone that could benefit from this, this is for low income and for low income housing. So if anyone can benefit from it, I have applications. But I strongly urge them to come out to listen for the qualification and the application process. Tomorrow night, 5:30 at the CJC complex.
Okay, this is the housing grant that people always call and ask about. Is any money available to help me with my house? There's a very limited amount here, $660,000, it doesn't go a long way, but we want the process to be handled through our grant agency, Tom Skehan and the Southwest Development District. Wrote the grant, will be administering the grant, and will be the point of contact. But we do want to pass the information along at 5:30 tomorrow at CJC. Mr. Alderman Bishop, any other questions from the community development board?
Anderson Avenue, they have passed the NEPA process for the design phase. So they should start, he said maybe spring or summer, at the beginning of the summertime. They should start paving.
Oh, okay. All right, what about Mercer Road?
I have not had an update from them.
Okay. These are TDOT grant funded projects, and they do sometimes take a while. All right, thank you, we'll stay on it, we're not gonna let it go. We talk about bid costs on the work in the meanwhile. All right, next we have, was there any questions? Is that it from Ms. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Mayor.
All right, we have our financial manager report from Ms. Sherry Bass.
Any questions concerning the revenues and expenditures for the month of February? Thank you.
Okay, if there are no questions, I'd like to seek approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the financial management report? Motion, do I hear a second? Been moved and properly seconded. Questions, concerns, corrections? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor, let it know by the sign of aye. Those opposed, nay. Manager's report. Okay, well, real briefly, I have a mayor's report. I've been quite busy, over the last couple months. Of course, we did do a citizens award for Mr. Billy Tripp, in this documentary, the Steel Garden documentary, was well attended in College Hill. I think that's the same that came back from Kingsport, but people like that he is funny, and, we got a chance to celebrate him. We did, the mayor of Stanton, the mayor of Hayward County, myself, through a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, did do the State of the Community address, well attended. You know, most of the people in the room, I didn't know. At least 50% of the people in the room, I did not know who they were. I don't know where they came from, but they were there. Yeah, yes ma'am. I'm looking at like, who are these people? You know, usually you see somebody that you've seen from a development or somebody coming, I'm interested in town, I just moved here. But there's a lot of interest about what's going on in our community. Of course, we all get our state of the community addresses, and you know, Crystal said I went a little long, but you know, I got a lot to talk about. All right. We did have a chance to go to Landstar to visit with Danny Kurtz, he's a developer. You see myself, the Vice Mayor Aaron of Johnson City, and some people from East Tennessee. Lena was with us, our community developer, and Superintendent Marsh and Deputy Superintendent to Dr. Tracy Scott. We were able to go up, turn around, come back the same day. He provided transportation for us, and we had lunch at his house. We went out and saw some developers and went to a community Chamber of Commerce event in the morning that recognized local heroes, the lady that worked at McDonald's, and the person that was the first African-American nurse in the hospital there. So that Tri-City area is really, really developed. I was very impressed what they're doing with their community centers. They had a convention center attached to a hotel for meetings and space. And then they use their parks and recs for the local community during the week. On the weekend, they put in tournaments, aquatics tournaments, softball tournaments, so they generate revenue. So I think the chamber said he had 16 people working on his staff. So they figured some things out up in East Tennessee. Then to go with the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce, 112th annual meeting, Mr. Joe Barton and myself. The gentleman in the middle on the left, picture, that's Chasen Hayes. Chasen has moved from Tennessee Department of Economics to Ford Motor Company. So we were glad to see Chasen. I like his shoes. We got a chance to hang out with Chasen for a minute, along with visiting Paige Wiley, Senator Representative Johnny Shaw, and other legislators. Walking down the hallway, the guy in the blue double-breasted coat, is Trey Cunningham, one of our young superstars, one of our young, articulate young men who's interning with the state legislature. Walking down the hall, somebody said, Mayor Walls, and turned around and was Trey. So I was glad to see him. I had lost track of him, but he still continued to represent Brownsville and Hayward County in a good way. Then of course there were Black History programs. We went to the Boys and Girls Club with a couple guests. Got to speak at Eastside Elementary, which not only I did speak at Prospect #2 for their Black History Month program as well. So we got to celebrate Black History Month in a big way. Went back to Nashville for the Tennessee Municipal League's legislative conference. I was invited to be on a panel discussion about growth in your community. And what does Blue Oval City mean? So, me being who I am, I kept it real, and I was saying we still have to take care of the people in our community. As we experience this growth, as you can see tonight with the planning ordinances, it can be painful sometimes, but it's here. We cannot stop change, we cannot stop growth, we can only facilitate it to our best ability. So I was with Mayor Brown, there's a couple other people from CTAS, and these are all local, municipal, elected officials, city council members, and mayors throughout the state through the municipal league. So they're fighting for us in Nashville. There's a lot, I mean, when I say a lot of state legislation that's prohibited for us doing our business here on a local level, like a property tax cap, the unfunded mandates like for storm water, for ADA compliance, things of this nature. You cannot run Brownsville from Nashville, Tennessee. You just can't do it. We may need some help here, and we're getting our team shored up. but we know what we're doing. We live here, we have to deal with the results of the actions that we do here as a elected. You can see us, and you can see us, you can see your alderman again, you can see us at Walmart, you can see us at church. You know, we can't get away from it. So we're telling the state to let us run our municipalities where we need to, because each one of them are unique in their own way. I think that's it. Of course, our Statewide Streets for All grant, it's a $74,000 planning grant that we've procured with Collier Engineering. They were here flying the drone over the core square. One of the things we're fighting for is to keep the truck traffic off our square and keep everybody moving in the right direction. That can be very challenging. So in the same vein of hearing from the community, on March 26th at 5:30, the Brownsville Family Restaurant, we are asking everybody to RSVP so we can get a proper head count. I want to hear from the local community. You hear about the land use plan and the zoning ordinance. Some people come to the planning commission. It's not a lot of people here tonight. Thank y'all for coming. But I think it's time I want to hear from local. I want to hear from the developers. I don't want to hear from the engineers. By the time, I want to hear from the people that live here. What's on your mind? What bothers you? Instead of doing a presentation, it'd be more of a town hall. And I'm hoping that we can do this once a quarter. I just want to hear from the people. What are your concerns and what do I need to be out fighting for? Because I want to be the ear and the voice of the people in our community. So thank you for the honor to continue to serve as your mayor. We'll get together on March 26th at 5:30. Locals, okay, encouraging all the local people to come. That's all I have for my highlights tonight. Reports from the Alderman Pugh.
That's all. On report, on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club, excuse me, I'm sorry about that, Ms. Red. Park and Rec, that's what board I'm on. For the city pool, we have been working on that to get that straight. We have cleaned up the pool pretty good so far, but I don't think it's probably not gonna be up and running this summer. So that's one thing that we've been working on. There's a chance that we might get it, there's a chance that we might not. We know softball season is coming and baseball season for the boys and the girls. And my last thing is my community meeting will be started back off on April the 16th at 6 o'clock, and those meetings will be held at the WW building on 100 Board Avenue. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman Pugh. Alderman Bishop.
No report.
One thing I do want to add from my report, when we went to Kingsport, we looked at an example of development where they donated the land for elementary school and then built the community around it. I thought it was an interesting concept that developer had, and we got to actually see it in this flag, what it looks like, and it had a really good feel to it. Reports from Vice Mayor Flynn.
Good evening. I have a report from the utility department. The TVA bill for February was $954,722.26. Again, in March 1, the average resident electric bill increased approximately 6.3164, 53% due to the TVA fuel cost adjustment. And in April, the UVA completed a rate study for the water and wastewater, and the recommendation will be presented to the city board next month for approval. And we would like to thank everyone that took part and participated in the fundraiser we had for the Boys and Girls Club. Attorney Banks can tell you more about that than I can. They are still taking donations, right?
Of course.
Always. I haven't had a neighbor watch me in about 2 or 3 months. There's been so much going on in Brownsville. But I am desperate in need to have a cleanup in my ward too. So I won't have it this month because I haven't had any information out. The next one I plan to clean up the ward too. So anyone would like to volunteer to get involved in it. I went riding in my ward today and I didn't like what I saw. So I'm just gonna take you all to come and help me make me happy again.
Okay. What keep you happy?
I'm not happy right now.
Well, I also want to make sure we take note of this. And she didn't mention it. I was perusing through social media, and your vice mayor received a governor's volunteer award from the state of Tennessee. Let's give her a round of applause. You want to sit down in Brownsville, Tennessee, because Ms. Flagg, but she received her award. And I didn't know anything about it. I asked Ms. Flagg, why didn't you say something about it? She said, I didn't know. Somebody nominated went up there, you know. But we are so proud of you and the work you've done. It speaks for itself. She never mentioned it. I've talked to her several times.
I would do things for credit. I do things because I enjoy doing them. I received a call today and just asked Mayor Rawls and Attorney Banks about blue
Blue Zone.
Blue Zone, I don't even know what Blue Zone is, but they called me today to get involved to help with Blue Zone, so I'm trying to find out what Blue Zone, but you know what I told them, I told them I'd help them.
Okay. You always do. But I thought there was, you know, sometimes our heroes and sheroes are not recognized at home as they should be. But Ms. Flagg's recognized on state level for her volunteerism, so, and she's always keeping with the Boys and Girls Club and Relay for Life, and it goes on national night out. I don't have to tell you about what she does in our community, so we wanna say thank you. We wanna say thank you from right here at home. We appreciate you. Yes, ma'am. Alderman Taylor?
No report.
No report. At this time, as required by law, the state statute, that we, this time, we open up for public comments for 2 minutes of anything that's on the agenda. Are there any comments or questions from the community, limited to 2 minutes on any agenda item here tonight? Okay, hearing none, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion, do I hear a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody ready? You don't go home.